Imagine waking up one morning and hearing some very good news. Interest rates are falling, loans are getting cheaper, banks are willing to lend more. Everyone says the same thing. Finally, money is cheap again. But then, something strange happens. Your house costs more, stocks cost more, cars cost more, rent gets harder to afford. Even your coffee seems to have developed an investment strategy. So how can cheaper money make life feel more expensive? The answer starts with a simple idea. Money is not just something you spend, it is also something that competes for things. And when money becomes cheap, that competition can get aggressive. Let's go back to the beginning. Imagine a bank could lend you money at 10% interest. You might think twice before borrowing 50 lakh rupees for a house. But now, imagine the rate falls to 6%. Suddenly, the same loan feels manageable. At 4%, even more people can afford it. At 2%, now almost everyone starts asking the same question. Why am I not borrowing? And this is where the story changes, because you are not the only person receiving cheaper money. Millions of people, companies, and investors are doing the same thing. The supply of credit expands. More money starts chasing houses, shares, businesses, and other assets. But here is the uncomfortable part. The number of houses did not suddenly double. The number of prime locations did not double. The number of great companies did not double. There are still only so many things people desperately want to own. So when more buyers arrive with cheaper money, prices can rise. Think about a house worth 50 lakh rupees. If only 10 people can realistically afford it, the seller has limited power. But if suddenly 30 people can borrow cheaply enough to compete for it, the house has not changed. The building is the same. The kitchen is the same. The bathroom is still mysteriously expensive to renovate, but the purchasing power competing for that house has increased, and the price can move upward. This is one reason cheap money can inflate asset prices, and it gets even more interesting because cheap borrowing doesn't only affect buyers, it affects investors. Imagine a government bond gives you a very low return. You might start looking elsewhere. Maybe stocks, maybe real estate, maybe corporate bonds, maybe a startup promising to become the next giant. When safe returns become unattractive, investors often take more risks searching for higher returns. That pushes money into financial markets, and suddenly, assets that looked expensive yesterday can look completely normal today until the music stops. This is why periods of extremely low interest rates can create a strange psychological effect. People begin adjusting their idea of what things are worth. A 1 crore rupee house feels normal. A company losing money can still attract huge valuations. A startup with a clever presentation can raise millions. And borrowing 20 lakh rupees doesn't feel like borrowing 20 lakh rupees. It feels like borrowing 20 lakh rupees at only 4%. That word, only, does a lot of work because interest rates don't just change the cost of money, they change people's behavior, and behavior changes prices. But there is another twist. Cheap money can eventually contribute to higher consumer prices too. Businesses can borrow more cheaply, consumers can spend more easily, demand rises. If businesses cannot increase supply fast enough, prices can rise. Then central banks face the awkward problem they helped create. They make money cheaper to stimulate the economy. Demand rises, prices rise, so they raise interest rates to cool everything down. And suddenly, the same cheap money that felt like a gift starts looking like a bill. This is the irony. Cheap money is not necessarily free money. It simply changes where the pressure appears. When rates are high, the pain may show up in your monthly loan payment. When rates are extremely low, the pain may show up somewhere else, in the price of the house you cannot afford, the stock you missed, the rent that keeps climbing, or the inflation quietly reducing what your salary can buy. And this is why looking only at interest rates can be misleading. A lower rate sounds good, but the real question is, lower compared with what? And cheaper for whom? Because when the price of borrowing falls, somebody eventually has to absorb the consequences. Maybe borrowers benefit, maybe asset owners benefit, maybe businesses benefit, maybe consumers benefit. But if too much money starts chasing too few things, prices can absorb the difference. And that leaves us with a strange economic paradox. Sometimes the easiest time to borrow money can also become one of the hardest times to afford the things that money buys. So the next time you hear money is cheap, don't just ask how much the loan costs. Ask what everyone else is doing with that cheap money, because sometimes the cheapest money in the economy is exactly what makes everything around you feel expensive. Imagine waking up one morning and hearing some very good